people on the margins are really disproportionately impacted by a lot of these food injustices. But in my work around the world, particularly in India and in Zambia, working with marginalized groups and people who are really experiencing the brunt of food insecurity, and people who are facing situations of receiving food aid and saying, well, maybe we don't want food aid if it's genetically modified. What are the alternatives? And it's really quite, there's some really optimistic lessons I think we can learn where people are taking back food security and food justice into their own hands and relying a lot on indigenous knowledge and traditions. So they say, well, you know, these top-down food aid, science and technology interventions, that's not really, that hasn't worked for us, and that's maybe not where the answers are. And getting back to a lot of the things we've heard mentioned here, the connection between plants and soil, that kind of knowledge, indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge, and then excitingly in a field called agroecology, which is sort of the scientific translation here that's just beginning to coalesce and get on people's radar screen, a new kind of paradigm for looking at food and the relationship and connections that it takes to grow sustainable food that feeds both the biological needs and the cultural and spiritual needs of communities as part of an ecological model, as opposed to just this top-down linear model of, you know, how much food is being produced and how many calories does it have. So I think that there are models out there. They're not in the news every day, but you can find them, and it's really important to seek those out and to join in and become part of that global movement for reclaiming food traditions and empowerment.
When the community security, I think it's the name of the measure, came, people were afraid of going to the stores, were afraid of going to the bank foods. So it was a really difficult situation for people who are in the margins of society and geologically too. Close to my house there is a Methodist church, and the wife of the pastor speaks Spanish very well. So she opened pantry food, and she put her signs in both English and Spanish, and a lot of Spanish-speaking people came to use that service. So I think that's another marginalized sector that we have among us.